My name's Evelyn Parker, born and raised in a quiet little suburb in Minnesota. You know, one of those towns where the biggest drama is whose lawn looks better or whose kid got into college first. I had a pretty normal childhood, if you ignore the thing that still makes me sleep with the lights on. I used to joke about it, told people it was just that weird night I hallucinated as a kid. But deep down, I know it wasn't a dream, because dreams don't leave scars. Anyway, I was 10, summer of 2004. My best friend Molly invited me for a sleepover at her place. Her house was old, creaky, smelled like mothballs, and something faintly metallic, like rust or blood. But she had an attic full of board games and horror VHS tapes, so we loved hanging out there. That night, her parents were out of town and her older brother was supposed to keep an eye on us. He didn't. He was too busy sneaking beers with his girlfriend in the basement. So it was just me, Molly, and the dark. We played light as a feather, stiff as a board. You know, that dumb levitation game every bored kid tries once. Except, when we tried it, it actually worked. Molly's body lifted, not high, maybe an inch, but enough for her eyes to roll back, like she wasn't there. I panicked, of course, dropped her. She hit the floor hard, gasping like she forgot how to breathe. Then she smiled at me. Not Molly's smile. This one was stretched, too wide, and she whispered, "It worked." After that night, everything about her changed. She stopped talking in class, started drawing things. Circles, faces scratched out, houses with no doors. And one picture that still makes me sick. 2 little girls sitting together, one of them with her skin peeled off. A week later, she stopped coming to school. Her mom said she was sick. The house went quiet. I didn't hear from her again until my 13th birthday. It was 2:48 a.m. I remember because the red numbers on my digital clock burned into my brain. I heard whispering, soft, broken, calling my name, Evelyn. I thought it was my mom, but the voice was coming from under the bed. Then I saw it. A hand, small, pale, fingers missing their nails, dragging something wet behind it. I screamed so loud my throat burned. My dad ran in, checked everywhere, said there was nothing, told me I was dreaming. But when I woke up that morning, there were muddy footprints beside my bed, small, bare, child-sized. We moved out a year later. New house, new school. I told myself it was over. Until 3 weeks ago. I got a friend request on Facebook. Molly Thompson. The profile picture was wrong. It was an old photo of us from that sleepover. Only I was smiling. Molly's face was blurred out, like someone dragged a finger across wet paint. I didn't accept it. But ever since that night, my phone keeps turning on by itself at 3:17 a.m. The same time she woke up during that stupid game. Sometimes the camera's open. Sometimes it's recording. Last night, I watched one of those videos. I was sleeping. The screen showed my face, peaceful, quiet. And behind me, leaning close, smiling that same stretched smile, was Molly. People tell me to see a therapist. But how do you explain to someone that your childhood friend, the one who never really left that attic, still visits you every night? And sometimes, when I wake up, I can still smell that faint metallic scent. Rust. Or blood. Some sleepovers never really end.
I'm Jacob Miller, and I grew up in a tiny town in Kansas. You know the kind. where people still wave at passing cars and gossip spreads faster than wildfire. I always thought my childhood was boring. Turns out, I was just lucky. Until that summer. When I was 9, my parents sent me to live with my grandmother for a few weeks while they worked things out. Which is adult language for we're fighting and you're in the way. Grandma's house was old. The kind of old that smells like old. Everything creaked. Every wall groaned. And every clock ticked 2 seconds too slow. But what really stuck with me was the mirror in the hallway. It wasn't just any mirror. It was huge, floor to ceiling, framed in black wood with carvings of faces. I swear, the faces looked different every day, like they were watching me, memorizing me. Grandma called it the looking glass. She said it had been in our family for over 100 years. She also said never to look into it after dark. Yeah, because that's not suspicious at all. So of course, being 9 and stupid, I did exactly that. It was around midnight. The power had gone out during a storm. I had a flashlight and a brain full of bad ideas. I walked up to the mirror, pointed the light at it, and saw something standing behind me. It wasn't my reflection. It was me, but not me. My eyes were darker. My smile was wider. And when I raised my hand, he didn't. He just stared. I remember whispering, "Who are you?" And then my reflection mouthed something back. I couldn't hear it, but I could read it. It said, "Trade." I dropped the flashlight. The beam flickered, and for a second, I saw hands, pale and long, pressing against the other side of the glass, like he was trying to push through. I screamed for Grandma. She came running, slapped the light switch, and the power came back. Just like that, the reflection was gone. But Grandma didn't yell. She didn't comfort me. She just stood there, shaking her head, whispering, "You shouldn't have answered him." That night, she locked the hallway door. And for the rest of that summer, I wasn't allowed to go near it. But every night, I'd hear tapping, 3 soft knocks from behind the locked door, like fingernails against glass. When I told her, she just said, "Don't answer back." On my last night there, she made me promise something. She said, "If anything ever happens to me, don't look in the mirror. Promise me." I nodded. A week later, she died. Heart attack, they said. We went back for the funeral. And you know how funerals are. Everyone pretending to be sad while picking through the dead person's stuff. I wandered into that hallway again. The mirror was still there, covered with a white sheet. Curiosity's a disease. You know that? I pulled the sheet off, and my reflection smiled first. He mouthed something again. betrayed. And before I could step back, the glass rippled like water, and something cold grabbed my wrist. I screamed. My mom ran in, dragged me away. But when I looked at the mirror again, there were 2 handprints inside the glass. One small and one wrinkled. We buried Grandma the next morning, open casket. But I swear, her hands looked wrong, like they'd been pressing against something hard for a long time. It's been 20 years now. I still have that mirror. My mom couldn't bear to keep it. I covered it up, of course. But sometimes, late at night, I hear those 3 soft knocks again. And sometimes, the sheet moves, like something's breathing underneath. And every once in a while, I see a face in the reflection. Not mine, not hers, just waiting.
I'm Lena Carter, from a small town in Pennsylvania. Population, too few to mind your own business. I had a pretty normal childhood. School, bikes, cereal for dinner when Mom worked late. Normal, except for the summer my dad brought home that old TV. He was a truck driver, liked collecting junk from abandoned houses. One day, he dragged this boxy television into our living room and said, "They don't make them like this anymore." No kidding. The thing looked like it survived a nuclear war. It only had one channel, static, just snow. Hissing and buzzing, like angry bees trapped behind glass. I hated it. But my dad said not to mess with it. So naturally, I messed with it. One night, Mom was asleep and I was up late, bored. I turned the TV on, just to see if it still worked. And through the static, I saw a face. It wasn't clear, more like a shape. A small face, pale, eyes dark. Then I heard it. A voice, soft but sharp, cutting through the noise. "Can you see me?" I froze. The voice sounded like a boy, maybe my age, 10, maybe 11. I whispered back, "Who are you?" And the static hissed louder, like the TV was angry I'd answered. Then the boy said, "Help me find my mom." I turned it off, ran to bed. But the next night, I couldn't stop thinking about him. I turned it on again, and there he was, clearer this time. He smiled, waved, and behind him, I could see something moving in the dark. A woman's silhouette, long hair, bare feet. Then the boy whispered, "She's angry you can see me." That's when the lights in our house flickered. Every single one. The TV screen flashed just for a second, and I saw the woman's face. Her mouth was wide open, too wide. Her eyes were black pits, and she was screaming, but the TV only made static noise, like it was swallowing the sound. I threw the remote at the screen. It shattered. Mom came running, yelling, but when she looked, the screen wasn't broken. Not a crack, just my reflection, and behind it, a small boy smiling. Mom thought I was losing it. She called a priest. Yeah, we went there. He sprinkled water on the TV, mumbled a prayer, and told us to get rid of it. Dad refused, said it was perfectly fine. He left it in the basement after that. For weeks, I avoided it. But every night, I'd hear the static, faint through the floorboards, like whispering under my bed. And one night, I heard the boy's voice again. She found me. Then silence. The next morning, Dad was gone. Truck still in the driveway, front door open, and the TV was on. The screen showed static and two figures standing in it. A woman and a man wearing my dad's cap. Police said he ran away. Mom still believes that. But I know what I saw. I smashed that TV myself before we moved. Or, at least I thought I did. Because last week, while unpacking boxes in my new apartment, I heard that same hiss, that same faint static. I followed it to my bedroom, and there it was. The old TV, sitting in the corner, plugged in. The screen flickered to life. The boy smiled at me again, and behind him, I saw my dad. He looked right at me and said, "We've been waiting for you." Now, every night when I try to sleep, I can hear the static whispering from the dark. And sometimes, when I close my eyes, I see their faces glowing in the snow. I haven't watched TV since.
I'm Nora Hayes, 32, freelance writer, occasional insomniac, and a proud survivor of American suburban childhood trauma. I grew up in a split-level house with yellow walls, floral curtains, and one room no one ever went into. We called it the Whisper Room. Not because of anything spooky, at least not at first. It was just a small guest room down the hall. No one used it. It always smelled faintly like dust and something sweet, like old perfume. My mom said, "Don't play in there," which obviously meant that's where I played. When I was 7, I'd sneak in there with my toys. I'd sit in the middle of the floor and just listen. Because sometimes when the house was quiet, really quiet, you could hear whispering from inside the walls. Not words, just murmurs, like someone was talking softly, too far away to understand. I told my mom. She told me it was the pipes. My dad said the same thing. Except that house didn't have pipes in that wall. One night, I left my dolls in there by accident. When I went back the next morning, they were all sitting in a circle, facing the wall. Their heads tilted just slightly. And one of them had its hair burned off. I remember showing my mom, crying. She slapped me, said I was making things up again. After that, she kept the door locked. but the whispering didn't stop. Sometimes I'd wake up in the middle of the night and hear it through my vent, like someone calling my name from inside the walls. It would say, "Come back." When I was 10, my mom got sick, real sick, cancer. She spent her last months in that room, said it was peaceful. But after she died, my dad wouldn't go near it. He nailed the door shut, told me to never ask about it again. I moved out years ago. New city, new life, therapy, meds, the whole healing thing. But you know what healing doesn't fix? The part of your brain that remembers what you heard. Because lately, I've been hearing it again. It started 2 weeks ago, faint, just when I was half asleep. A soft hiss, like someone whispering from behind the drywall. I thought I was imagining it. Then I moved my bed and saw something carved into the wall. Tiny letters. "Welcome back, Nora." I don't even know why I went home after that, but I did. Last weekend, I drove back to the old house. My dad's gone now, dementia, care home. The place is empty. The whisper room's door is still nailed shut, but I could hear it again. The voices. Not whispers anymore, humming. Soft, rhythmic, like lullabies sung through static. I don't remember unlocking the door. I just remember standing there, staring inside. The air was thick. The wallpaper was peeling. And in the corner, my dolls. The same circle, the same burned one in the middle. But this time they weren't facing the wall. They were facing the door. I swear one of them blinked. I ran out, didn't even lock up. But now every night when I try to sleep, I can still hear that humming. It's not in the walls anymore. It's closer, like it followed me here. I haven't told anyone, because honestly, what would I even say? That my childhood home won't stop whispering my name? Or that sometimes when I close my eyes, I can still hear my mom's voice, singing from inside the walls.
My name's Ross, and there's something I need to tell you before I forget it again. When I was 6, I used to draw a lot. Not because I was good at it, I wasn't, but because my mom said it kept me quiet and busy. So I'd sit for hours in my room, drawing on printer paper with my box of crayons. Usually it was the same thing: my house, my mom, and me. But one day, I drew someone new. He was standing next to me in the picture. No name, no color. Just a tall, thin man in black crayon. And instead of eyes, I drew 2 circles, filled completely. I don't even remember why I did that. My mom found it on the fridge that evening. She said it was weirdly good, and asked who it was. I told her, "He's the man who stands behind me when I sleep." She didn't say anything after that. Just stared at me, then tore it off the fridge and threw it away. That night, she slept in my room. For a few days, everything was fine. Then one morning, I woke up to another drawing, taped to my wall. Same man, same dark circles for eyes. Except this time, he was smiling. I didn't draw that one, I swear. I showed Mom, but she said I must have done it in my sleep. She started locking away my crayons, but the drawings kept appearing. Sometimes on my homework, sometimes on my pillow. Always that same man. Always getting closer. The last one appeared after my mom left. She died in her sleep. Heart failure, they said. I was 9. When they cleaned out the house, they found a stack of my old drawings in her closet. Every single one had the same man in them. But in the last one, he wasn't next to me anymore. He was standing over my bed. I thought about those drawings for years. Therapists said it was my mind coping with grief. A trauma image, that's what they called it. And maybe they were right. For a long time I believed that. Until last week. I was visiting my childhood home. It's being sold off now. Empty walls, no furniture, just echoes. And in my old room, the one where I used to draw, there was something faint on the wall. A pattern, like crayon residue under fresh paint. So I started scraping at it. Under the white paint, I found a drawing. The same man, but this time, I wasn't in the picture. Just him, smiling. And here's the part that won't leave my head. The smile wasn't drawn in crayon. It was carved. I can't sleep now, because last night, I saw him again. Not in my dreams, not in the drawings. He was standing by the window, watching. And when I turned on the light, there were black crayon marks on the glass. I keep telling myself it's all in my head, that I'm just remembering what I shouldn't. But every morning I wake up, and there's another drawing taped to my wall. And each one smiles a little wider.
My name's Ryan Cole, 34, ex-Golden Gloves boxer, personal trainer, and the guy who once got famous online for breaking a punching bag chain in one hit. Yeah, that's me. People look at me and see control, power, a guy who doesn't scare easy. But there's one sound that still makes my hands shake. A tiny sound. A bell. Not like a church bell or a doorbell. No. It's the kind of bell they use to hang on cat collars. That soft ting, ting noise. Every time I hear it, I freeze. Like I'm 6 years old again. We used to live in an old 2-story house in Ohio. It had this basement. Long, narrow, smelled like wet iron. My dad kept his tools down there, and my mom, well, she said the basement gave her the creeps. But my dad made me go down there anyway. Said it would make me tough. So every night before bed, I had to go fetch his beer from the mini fridge in the basement. Alone. No flashlight. No talking. Just me and the dark. At first, I'd hum to myself to keep calm. But one night I stopped humming because I heard something else. It was faint, like a bell. It came from the far corner, behind the old furnace. I told Dad. He laughed. Said it was the pipes. So the next night I listened again. And this time, it was closer. After that, I started running up those stairs as fast as I could every night. Until one day I tripped. The bottle broke, cut my knee. Dad came storming down, yelling, dragging me back by the arm. "Scared of your own shadow?" he said. "Go look. Go see what's ringing." He pushed me forward, and I saw it. A small silver bell on the dirt floor, moving on its own, like something invisible was playing with it. Dad didn't see it. He just stared at me, waiting for me to stop shaking. Then, he made me pick it up. The moment my fingers touched it, everything went silent. No sound, no air, just this pressure, like someone whispering inside my skull. I woke up upstairs. Dad said I passed out. Told me to stop acting weak. But the bell kept showing up. On my bed, in my backpack, once even in my cereal bowl. And every time I touched it, I'd black out. One morning I woke up to my mom screaming. Dad was gone. They said he'd disappeared during the night. But I remember the sound that woke me before she screamed. That tiny ting, ting coming from the basement. Years passed. I grew up, built muscle, learned to fight. I told myself fear was just something you could punch away if you hit hard enough. But it doesn't work like that. A few months ago, my old house went up for sale. I went back, thought maybe facing it would fix whatever's left in me. The place was empty, but the air, it smelled the same. And in the basement, sitting right in the middle of the floor, was that same silver bell. It didn't move this time. It just sat there. But the moment I looked at it, my ears started ringing. Then I heard a voice. My dad's voice. Go on, champ. Be a man. I turned to run, but I couldn't. My body wouldn't move. Then the bell rolled toward me. Slowly. Deliberately. It stopped at my shoe and rang once, and everything went black. When I came to, I was in my car parked outside the house. But here's the thing. My hands were covered in dirt, and in the passenger seat sat the bell. I threw it out the window that night. But sometimes when I'm training and the gym's quiet, I hear it again, just once. I can throw punches that break bone, but that sound, that tiny sound can still make me drop to my knees. Because I know one day, when I hear it again, I won't wake up this time. I won't.
My name's Dr. Marcus Hale, and if you work in cognitive neuroscience, you've probably read one of my papers. I've spent my life studying memory, how it forms, fractures, rewrites itself. I've lectured at Stanford, consulted for the FBI, trained therapists on trauma recovery. I've literally written the book on how memory lies to us. And yet, I can't explain my own. When I was 8, I had this habit of writing letters. Not to anyone in particular, just to something that listened. I'd sit in my room, scribble a note on loose paper, fold it neatly, and slide it under my closet door. And in the morning, it would be gone. That's the part I don't remember wrong. Because every morning there'd be a new paper in its place, with words I didn't write. Always the same kind of response. Thank you for talking to me. I like your stories. Don't open the door. At first, I thought my parents were playing some kind of game, but when I asked them, they had no idea what I was talking about. Then one morning, my dad found one of the notes. He read it and turned white. He grabbed me hard, harder than he ever had before, and told me never to write another one. He nailed the closet shut that night. I remember the sound, hammer on wood, echoing down the hall, and the look on his face. It wasn't anger, it was fear. Fast forward 30 years, I'm a neuroscientist now, celebrated for understanding what trauma does to the brain. I've spent my career proving that childhood memories distort over time, that monsters aren't real, just misfires of neural pathways. But a few months ago, I went back to my old house. It's empty now, abandoned for years. The boards on the closet door were still there, brittle with age. And I don't know what made me do it. Maybe pride, maybe curiosity, but I pried one loose. Inside there was a single folded piece of paper, yellowed, fragile, untouched by dust. It said, in handwriting that looked almost like mine, "You came back." I took it home, ran handwriting analysis, carbon dating, chemical scans, everything. The ink was less than a week old. I told myself it had to be contamination. I mean, I teach rationality for a living. But that night, as I was logging my data, I heard it, a soft sound, paper sliding across wood. I turned toward my study door, and under it was a folded note. Same paper, same fold. It read, "You said you wouldn't open it." I didn't sleep. I spent the next 2 days tearing my apartment apart. Cameras, sensors, time logs, nothing caught anything. It's like the note appeared between seconds. Then the third one came. This time it didn't have writing, just a faint handprint in the middle, small, like a child's, pressed in black ink. I've tried every method I know. UV scans, fiber tests, there's nothing human about the residue. And last night as I was reviewing footage, I heard a whisper on the audio track. Right before the note slid into frame, it said, "You taught everyone how to forget." The thing is, I don't even remember what I used to write in those letters, but whatever was on the other side of that door, it remembers me. And now, it's writing back again. Every night, the sound of paper on wood, and I can't stop hearing it, even when I close my eyes.